folks, it's Jim, it's Leila and Julie. It's episode 212 or 13 or 14, I'm not sure, I've lost track years ago. It's DC Zero Month Week 2.
Yay!
So this week, two of us have to read 5 books each. So I'm going to start off this week with Batman and Robin, number 0. And in this one, raised as an elite assassin by his mother Talia, Damian has one burning question he wants answered. Who is his father? And the only way he will learn the truth is to defeat his mother on his birthday. So, yeah, I quite enjoyed this one. Bathing the baby in another person's blood is kind of a little bit awkward, but then again, he's raised as an assassin, so I guess it's a birthing thing with the people of Talia's race and right.
Maybe it's to get him used to the whole idea of maybe using the Lazarus pit later or something.
Maybe.
See, here I was figuring that she just did a water birth.
Yes.
Yeah. Very interesting concepts here. A lot of really interesting character stuff goes on, especially with Damian wanting to find out just who his father is. So that's really the driving point behind this book is Damian wants to know who his daddy is.
Did Talia at any point in the book ask him, who's your daddy?
Yeah.
No. No. But I liked it a lot. The art's really nice here, and the story is pretty darn compelling. So if you're a Batman and Robin fan and want to see just how Damian and Batman met for the first time, this is your best chance. Pick it up.
Alright. My first book this week was Grifter, number 0. As is oftentimes the case, I'm not very familiar with Grifter. And this book didn't necessarily clear anything up for me. It's set a couple of years in the past, and it opens up with Grifter on a mission with his brother and with Lynch. It's very Team 7, except that something is just not right. So you get to see a little bit more about how Grifter came to be where he was in the storyline. They clear up a few things for you in what's been ongoing. But overall, it was pretty unremarkable as far as I'm concerned. If you're a Grifter fan, you'll probably enjoy the backstory. But for me, for somebody who's just sort of trying to figure out who Grifter is, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Okay, first up for me, the book I fought for last week, Batman number 0.
Was it worth the fight?
Oh, yes it was.
Alright.
Okay, so there are 2 stories in here, and in the first one called Bright New Yesterday, which is set 6 years ago, Bruce tries to infiltrate the Red Hood gang with not very successful results.
Well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh, it will. And the Red Hood doesn't take betrayal lightly. Undeterred, Bruce continues to develop his skills as a crime-fighting vigilante, not Batman at this point, while Alfred pleads with him to at least attempt to return to his life as Bruce Wayne, you know, to avoid arousing suspicion about you being back in town and just doing nothing, living in the slums, not in the manor, not being Bruce Wayne. Anyways, a stubborn Bruce brushes aside his advice until Lieutenant Gordon shows up at his door. And then in the other story called Tomorrow, it's set only 5 years in the past, and we're introduced to Tim Drake, Jason Todd, and Dick Grayson before any of them join Bruce's cause. And we also learn that a year after the previous story, Batman's legend has started to grow, and people have begun to rally behind this beacon of hope, including Jim Gordon and his daughter Barbara.
Wait. Can we rewind for a moment and talk about Dick, Tim, and Jason all being in the same storyline?
Yes, they are. It was really good actually, because you get to see, like, you know, they show Tim, and he's like in a middle school, but like a high-end private school. And
let me guess. One Robin dies. Oops, looks like we're gonna need another Robin.
Yeah. Yes, and he's faking out his principal at the time. And then later we see Dick Grayson, and he's at the circus with the Flying Graysons, and his parents are still alive. Okay, and then we see Jason Todd. He's wearing a Red Hood mask, but so is some other guy. He's basically like a robber, and he seems like kind of a teenager. And this is all happening at the same time, only 5 years ago.
My Robin storyline is really upset right now.
Well, I think what's going to happen is that Jason Todd is never Robin. He goes directly to being Red Robin.
But
so this is what I think they're doing.
Continuity error.
So anyway, this book establishes that we basically have 5 years to go from, you know, Dick Grayson to Damien.
Yeah. 4 years to kill off 3 Robins.
That's a pretty fast transition.
It is. But I really enjoyed this book. I did. And, like, in the first one where Bruce, like, infiltrates the Red Hood gang, he, like, actually wears, like, a mask. So he's got, like, the beard and all that we've been seeing in other things. And then he, like, rips that off and he's got his other face underneath.
That's really cool.
So rather than just being Batman to fight crime, like, he's, like, actually trying to infiltrate the gangs and do stuff like that. Being a vigilante in that way. So he's not Batman at that point. And that's only like 6 years before. So
that's
I mean,
really cool.
Yeah.
So in a year he sets up being
so
Batman.
In a year he sort of transitions to being Batman.
And in 5 years he's going to go through
3 Robins.
multiple Robins.
Yes. And this is all before he joins the Justice League.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Batman's a busy man.
Yeah.
That's one busy guy. Yep.
Right. So anyway, so we're at least establishing some timelines for the new DC, and you know, and I find them confusing often, but you know, this was helpful.
That's very confusing.
I enjoyed this book. I really did. So you know, if you haven't read it, pick it up. It was a good read.
All right. Next up, we have Green Lantern Corps, and in this one, Guy Gardner is your average, everyday, constant failure to his family. Especially his father, until one night when a shootout happens, Guy has to save his brother from a gang.
And does he?
And he does. And
not failure.
And the ring decides to choose him.
So what you're telling me is that if you're a continual failure and you do one thing right, you get a Green Lantern ring?
Yeah.
Yes. Sign me up.
Woohoo!
Yep.
But the whole point of the fact is he really going to be the hero that he's always wanted to be?
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah, this one's kind of a little bit cliche.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your standard story of a father disappointed in his son who just can't get anything right in life, etc., etc.
Isn't that like the basis for every superhero? I mean, if you're not hit by cosmic rays or bit by a genetically altered spider or an orphan, it must be disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah, more superhero cliches. Anyway, the storyline here is very, very cliche, as I said. The artwork's really nice, though, and the ending is actually pretty cool, where he basically goes against the Green Lantern Corps and goes, yeah, I'm going to make my Green Lantern thing a jacket.
Cool, fashion statement.
Yeah, and of course Hal makes fun of him for it.
Of course.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, it's just not great. So unless you're a huge fan of the series, then there's really nothing here that you haven't either seen before or, well, need to see. But for anyone looking to see just how Hal became...
how
Guy became a Green Lantern, then this is the book for you.
Cool. I read Ravagers #0 because I read Ravagers #1. And this is a straight up prequel to the Culling storyline that happened back in April.
Yeah, the Teen Titans crossover.
The Teen Titans, Superboy, all of that.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to find out a little bit more about the colony. I finally found out why Beast Boy is red.
Too much Kool-Aid as a kid.
Exactly.
Yep.
I can sleep at night again. I know why Gar is red.
Yeah.
But it was a straight up prequel. If you've read The Ravagers, if you've read anything from the storyline, it's going to answer some questions for you. I enjoyed it. It was a good read, probably my favorite read this week. Good story, good art, just a good book.
Alright, next up for me is Demon Knights #0. So in this one, the past of the demon is revealed. Yes, so Etrigan once challenged Lucifer for rule in hell, and was banished to Camelot. I know you're saying, what?
I don't know. Camelot is a silly place.
You know, from hell to Camelot in this many steps.
So wait, is Lucifer saying that Camelot is like hell?
No, I think he basically made a deal with Merlin.
Ah.
Basically.
So Merlin made a deal with the devil.
Okay, well let's remember that in this universe, whatever, Merlin is sort of descended from hell. And he's escaped.
Okay. Alright.
So, in Camelot, Merlin is trying to mold and train the impetuous Jason of Norwich. And he's not like your patient kind of kid who's willing to wait to learn things and bow to the training of Merlin. So when he starts to show this disturbing behavior to Merlin, he develops a plan to bond Etrigan, the demon from hell, to Jason to protect the world from both of them in some strange way.
Okay.
Yes. And that's, you know, how then many, many, many years later we have the demon who, you know, has this horrible side to him, but also sometimes has this very caring side, and it's always walking this line. So while I'm not a fan of the series, I did enjoy this issue, and it was interesting to see sort of like the dark side of Merlin and Camelot and all that. That was neat. And the fight scenes in hell are really really well done. So, surprisingly good. I'm still not a Demon Knights fan, but I enjoyed this one.
Alright, next up we have Ressurection Man. And in this one, Mitch Shelley discovers the truth about his existence, in that he's a copy of the real Mitch Shelley. But, when the two Mitches come face to face, heaven and hell come looking for a soul to take. So, yeah, the book basically comes down to heaven and hell are fighting over both Mitches on which one is going to give them a soul to take back to heaven or hell.
Interesting.
So basically, if you break the space-time continuum...
Yeah.
Alright.
Basically, if you're supposed to be dead, you have to go.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, I mean, I can understand that. That's fine. That's whatever. But it basically comes down to a clause.
Someone gets lawyered.
Yeah, pretty much. And I thought that was actually pretty darn funny.
Someone gets lawyered, so they have to suit up?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's got the right amount of darkness and a bit of comedy as well, because, quite frankly, it's very funny when heaven and hell decide to come both for you.
Yes.
It's like, we can't decide which, so we're going to fight to see who gets your soul.
That's interesting.
Some ego padding.
Yeah, I know. It's like, heaven and hell both want my soul.
There we go.
So, yeah, I quite enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun to read, and the art's really nice here. Story-wise, it was okay. It took a little bit of time to get to the actual point of the book, in that Mitch Shelley is a construct, and etc., etc. But I did enjoy it, and if you're a fan of this character, this is a really good origin story, so check it out.
Awesome. Third up for me was Frankenstein, Agent of S.H.A.D.E. Again, straight up prequel. It gives you a bit of the Frankenstein monster's backstory, the things that he's gone through.
Throwing that girl in the lake, running from fire.
Small taste of genocide. It's good. There's a really, really fantastic scene that I'm not going to spoil at all, but there's a fantastic encounter between Dr. Frankenstein and the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
It made me so happy.
Please note, the monster's name is not Frankenstein.
No,
it's the monster.
It's Adam, actually.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Frankenstein did name him on the first page as Adam.
Ah, good.
ADM? Like the ADAM?
Yeah, ADAM.
Alright.
Not atom, but Adam.
Okay.
But yeah.
That would be a whole other set of issues there.
Exactly.
So does that mean like the Bride of Frankenstein would be Eve?
Named Bride of Frankenstein Eve also.
Oh.
They did it. Yeah, they went
Here we go again.
I wasn't going to mention it, but...
Okay.
So, it was a good book. I enjoyed the read. Straight up as a read, it was good. I even didn't mind the gore level.
Yeah.
So, for me, that's saying a lot. Good book.
Ressurection Man had quite a bit of gore in it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'd say pick it up.
Alright, back to me. Legion Lost, Number 0. Okay, so this is the backstory for one member of the Legion, Timberwolf. So, in this one, his parents are scientists working on tapping into the genome to basically cure disease and increase physical capabilities. So obviously there's lots of people interested in this, including Lord Vicor, who gets kind of pissed when they refuse to rush to human testing and kills his mom, and then threatens to kill him, so his father's put in a really big predicament to try and rush forward the project.
Okay.
So Timberwolf's father develops the serum, but then, before giving it to Lord Vicor, uses it on himself and his son, hoping that the two of them can avenge his wife's death. But, of course, it doesn't all go to plan.
Of course
not. It wouldn't be a comic if it all went to plan.
And Timberwolf is soon left on his own to find his way, always yearning to find the man who killed both his parents. So, yeah, this was well done. I mean, I thought it was effective to focus on one particular character in a number 0, because it's too hard to, like, get to everybody, I think, and it was very effective to talk about one person's past and learn about them. So I think Legion fans should enjoy this one. I thought it was very well done. I mean, you know, I'm not a big fan of this particular book as a series overall, but I thought that this one was really well done.
Alright, next up is my favorite book of the week. It's Batgirl number 0. And in this one, while visiting Gotham PD as a college student, a criminal breaks free and targets Barbara. She must fight back and thus dons the cape and cowl for the first time to become Batgirl. And in doing so, she begins down a new path that ends in tragedy and rebirth. Alright, so I am a tiny bit disappointed with this story. I was really hoping that the story would actually focus on her recovery after being shot.
Yes.
Because that would have been really, really compelling.
Yeah, we'll start with her, like, in the bed, then to the wheelchair, then to the,
I mean, you could start out with a bit of backstory on how she became Batgirl. That would take up a couple pages anyway.
Yeah.
And have her shot and then recovering. That would be fantastic. But you get more of the origin story here instead of the recovery story, which I think would be a much more compelling story.
And doesn't Batgirl 1 open up with her talking about how she spent time in the wheelchair?
Yeah, it does.
I was hoping to see that a bit.
Yeah.
I was as well. I would love to see some Oracle stuff. But I talked to Gail a bit, and she does agree with me that the story needs to be told about her recovery, and I hope that we'll get to see that one day, because it would be fantastic. But overall, this, as always, Gail's writing, fantastic. Really go deep into a character like this. Really humanize the character. I love that about this.
Yes.
And her writing for it. And it's really an enjoyable book. So I can't badmouth it too much, because I'm not gonna.
It wasn't the book you were hoping for.
It was not the story I was hoping for a number 0.
Yeah. Maybe the annual.
Maybe the annual, but we'll see.
Crossing fingers.
Yes.
As always, love you, Gail. Keep up the awesome work on Batgirl. You're making me read Supergirl books again.
You know what they're going to give us for a Batgirl recuperation, right? A montage.
Yeah, it's gonna be,
It's gonna be a montage.
Don't let it be a montage, Gail.
Please don't let it be a montage. 4th for me was Team 7. Team 7 is set 5 years ago, and they've been a team hand-picked, designed to deal with the metahuman threat.
Which is presumably, at this point, I guess, Superman, because he's around at this point, right?
Pretty much. There's Superman, and there's a small handful of others that they name.
Yeah.
But their fear is just that, you know, well, there aren't many now, but how many will there be in 5 years, in 10 years? We need a team in place, ready to deal with metahumans that get out of control.
Yep.
So it's very much a 2 pages, 3 pages maybe on a couple of different characters. You're looking at Slade Wilson, Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad. You're looking at a couple of different characters, and you don't really get much of anything about any one of them.
Yeah, that's hard. That, like I was saying about the other book, where maybe you should just focus on one and get that going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Give us one character that we should care about instead of giving me 8 characters involved in Team 7
Yeah.
that I should maybe care about.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling I know where you're going with that, DC, with your 8 characters.
Yes.
Overall, a good prequel, a good start for a new series. But it was a hard read and really just was fairly dry.
Alright, so last for me this week is Superboy number 0. So
You don't have to say number 0. We all know there's number zeros.
It makes us feel better to say number
it does.
0.
All right,
It does.
all right.
What if years from now people are like, what issue number was that again? What?
What were they doing on this 0 week endeavor?
Yes.
What is a 0?
Okay, so in this one we learn more about Superboy's past, though not the sources of his DNA.
No!
Krypton's past, and the war between Kryptonian clones and Kryptonians, which that was cool, and the role that Harvest and Nowhere have played in it all.
Dun dun dun.
Yes. And will Superboy be Harvest's pawn, or will he create his own destiny? So, no big revelations here, at least not the ones that I'm sure everybody will be hoping for, like who's the source of his Kryptonian DNA and who's the source of his human DNA. But I do like that they opened up a bunch of possibilities here. It doesn't necessarily have to be Lex Luthor and Kal-El. It could be something even more interesting after this book. So, that was kind of cool, and it does advance the Superboy / Superman history in their universe forward in an interesting way. So, I have to say I liked it for all of those reasons. And I did enjoy the art as well. So overall, I think that Superboy, this entire year has actually been a fairly successful book. And crossing over with the culling and all of that, it's actually been pretty good. So if you haven't been jumping on it so far, I think maybe you should, because I think there's some interesting stuff coming.
Alright, last up for me is my get rid of it right this second pick of the week. It's Deathstroke number 0. And in this one, what are the events that led Slade Wilson to become Deathstroke, the most dangerous killer in the world? Well, when Slade's family is apparently killed, he goes on a seek and destroy mission, unaware the very ones targeting him are the ones he once held dear.
Ooh.
So, okay, I won't say anything bad about Rob Liefeld's writing here. It's actually pretty competent. It's everywhere else that fails, miserably.
Okay.
As always, he still can't draw feet. He puts way too many pouches. You know the jokes. We've all heard them.
Yeah.
And it really is distracting. It really doesn't make things work. And I hate that about this kind of stuff. But, I mean, it's an okay. It's an okay, basically, learning about the character. Who he was before he became who he was.
Yeah.
So there's that. But there's really not much to it,
Yeah.
and there's really nothing in the book to really make you go, wow. And it's like...
Yeah, I think DC is really aiming at more linking it to the other books that came out to this week, right?
It's linked to Team 7, it's linked to a few other things.
Yeah.
And it's just that the art here is really terribly, terribly simplistic. There's nothing to it. There's like very little background. He's basically trying to hide drawing feet because, well, he can't. But anyway, yeah, I can't really recommend it to anyone unless you're a huge Deathstroke fan.
And it's probably going to play into Team 7.
And it's gonna,
I'm sure it's going to get a lot of Team 7 information.
It does. It's got Grifter in here. It's got a few other characters. So, yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's just not great. And we all know that Rob Liefeld is not the greatest guy to be doing comics in the first place. No matter
that's
how
your opinion. I did not say that.
That's my opinion, and I'll stick with it because, quite frankly, I respect the guy for getting all the jobs and everything that he does, but he really needs to learn to draw feet.
My final book and the final review for this week is Suicide Squad number 0. And this book deals entirely with Amanda Waller and what drove her to putting together the Suicide Squad, which for me was kind of neat because I haven't read any Suicide Squad, I have no necessarily context, but now I know why it exists and how it exists, which that was really cool. The art was good, the story was good, I enjoyed the book. I didn't necessarily enjoy that there was a lot of plugs for Team 7 and a lot of foreshadowing, because Team 7, reading this, I'd run out and buy the Team 7 Zero and would have been disappointed.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, it seems like I would get information, but I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, that said, both books, great books.
Alright, and before we go off to start our new band, Avatar of the Rot,
Yeah.
we gotta pick what books we're reviewing next week. Now, we've already chosen a couple books each.
Yes.
I chose Sword of Sorcery, and Julie has chosen...
I have Nightwing and Red Hood and the Outlaws.
And
Justice League!
And Leila's chosen Justice League. So that means Julie has to pick 3, I have to pick 3, and...
No, I think
Leila has...
Julie picks 2.
I picked 3.
Oh, you pick 3.
Yeah.
And you guys each pick 4.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, alright. So, we're going to start off with Julie.
I have Green Lantern New Guardians.
Okay, I have Captain Atom.
I almost thought about taking that one too, remember?
Are we allowed for tradesies?
No, I still want Catwoman!
Oh, yes. It's available for trade. I have Legion of Superheroes.
Alright, I have Birds of Prey.
Oh.
Ah.
I always get 1 or 2 of the horror books every week. Did you notice that? Oh, not this week though. Supergirl!
Nice. And my last book is
No, wait. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
DC Universe Presents.
Alright.
Unless, of course, I can convince Leila to trade me.
Well, I had Batgirl this week, and I have Batwoman next week.
There you go.
Is that an older Barbara Gordon?
No.
No.
Oh.
Wonder Woman!
And
Nice.
my final pick of the week is Blue Beetle.
Alright.
Alright, so that's the end of this week's show. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye!